fellow degenerates, welcome back to another episode of Happy Horror Critic. I love all horror movies, whether or not people say they're good or bad. It's my belief that any addition to the genre is a plus, and I feel that any art created by somebody has value. As such, I don't really believe in the concept of bad, because there's something about everything that somebody can enjoy. Art is one of the most subjective experiences that people can have. Movies are art, especially horror films, which tend to have more atmosphere, set design, and special effects than most other genres. Not always, mind you, just tend to. So with that out of the way, I want to talk about a little film that I stumbled across while researching The Greasy Strangler, a little independent film called Candy Corn. I haven't heard many people talk about this movie and thought that it was worth mentioning. Candy Corn was written, produced, and directed by Josh Hasty, who gained notoriety in the horror community by creating a documentary about the making of Rob Zombie's film 31, titled In Hell, Everybody Loves Popcorn. Josh received praise for his filmmaking ability and for the quality of the documentary in general, getting nods for his work from Forbes magazine and from Rob Zombie himself. Josh came off of that documentary with enough momentum to start production of his own film, which brings us here to Candy Corn. Now, this film has a phenomenal cast that's absolutely filled to the brim with horror alumni. Courtney Gaines, most known for his role as the creepy kid in Children of the Corn, plays the sheriff, and he also has a producer credit to his name. Tony Todd, who I absolutely love, is in the film as Bishop Gate, and he has a credit as an executive producer. PJ Souls, known for her roles in Halloween, Carrie, and Devil's Rejects, plays Marcy Taylor, who works alongside the sheriff. Pancho Moeller, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, who's best known as Sickhead from 31, he plays a prominent role in the story as Carnival Barker Dr. Death. Last but not least, Sky Elobar, who is best known as Big Braden in The Greasy Strangler. He's here as the weird and skeevy Gus. Fun fact, Sky was the one who sold me this greasy beanie, after annoying everybody on Twitter about where I can get one. Anyway, looking up Sky and what other roles he has done is the sole reason that I knew this movie existed. I'm pretty sure the casting of all these people was intentional, because it gives the movie some clout in the horror community based off of cast names alone. Clout that would draw in an audience to watch it based on name recognition alone. To be fair, I'm here after looking up someone from the cast, so it worked for me. So kudos, Mr. Hasty, brilliant move. Candy Corn is one of those movies that's perfect to watch during the spooky season. There's a lot of visual flair in the costumes and set design, and the whole thing just oozes Halloween spirit. Many shots in this film look like they could have been ripped directly from Carpenter's Halloween. Even the font choice and color seem to be intentionally picked to spark nostalgia for that movie as well. The set design in places like the carnival here and the shots of the dilapidated areas of town remind me of a lot of Rob Zombie's work too. There's one aerial shot here that reminds me a lot of the opening of The Shining when they're on their way to the Overlook Hotel. The makeup and wardrobes are amazing, especially Dr. Death and Bishop Gate. The killer wears this incredibly terrifying mask that looks like someone put a rotting pumpkin on a scarecrow. He looks really cool. I really like the visual design of this movie. It's an absolute treat for your eyes. Now for some tough love. Because unfortunately, the pacing of this film at times is incredibly awkward, and there's a lot of editing decisions that I just don't understand. There's long shots where people just kind of stand around and talk awkwardly about inconsequential things, and reaction shots that cut to people that don't really have much reaction to anything. This movie is the polar opposite of overacting. Everyone feels kind of wooden and stiff in their dialogue. Kind of like they're delivering their lines on Novocaine and don't really have a lot of animation or emotion or attachment to what's going on in the story. This is a stark contrast with The Greasy Strangler, where everybody's acting was kind of wooden on purpose for humorous effect. That was done purposely. This one doesn't feel purposeful. Anyway, I kind of feel that way about most of the cast here, except for Pancho Moeller, Courtney Gaines, and Tony Todd. Those three give a fantastic performance like they always do. Sky Elobar just played his creepy, weird self. It kind of feels like that's just how he is. Just some creepy guy with these creepy smiles that just kind of hangs out. Anyway, this cop here, for example, after stumbling upon this dead body in the bathroom, he just kind of stands there and stares at his shoes like an emo kid who's depressed about something. I wouldn't even assume he saw a body if it didn't just cut away from one. I just think he was standing there looking sad. Anyway, this movie is a fantastic visual experience, but it's a hard movie to sit through. It's one of those movies that shows heaps and heaps of promise but doesn't take full advantage of what it has available. To me, that's frustrating because I can see the vision and the potential that it has, but it just never really reaches the heights that it could. Now, I don't know if this is due to inexperience on Josh Hasty's part. I know he did some short films and stuff before this and the documentary. Or if it's because nobody was really given good acting direction and how to play their parts. Anyway, it's hard to know for sure what happened because there isn't a lot of information about this movie online. But what I do know is, much like a Rob Zombie movie, I can sit there and watch this multiple times because the visuals and atmosphere are so fantastic. It's worth watching around the Halloween season. It's one to just throw on in the background while you're doing your Halloween decorating or pumpkin carving. Despite the downfalls, I think that there's a lot of good things going on here, and Josh Hasty is a director I will be looking out for. Because even though this movie wasn't perfect, it does show a lot of promise, and it is his first full-length film. So I'm going to keep an eye out to see what else he makes in the future. In the meantime, check it out around Halloween time. It's perfectly entertaining if you can get past the wooden dialogue and the weird edits.